All right, so for you, Dennis and Joseph, I'm gonna be doing this video. So I already made some notes. So I'm just gonna go over it so you don't just have to go ahead and read and just follow through. In case you don't get it, then okay, just refer to this video. So yeah, let's see. So right now, okay, and go back. I'm just gonna make sure that I'm sharing my screen. Okay, screen one. All right, so you should be seeing my IDE right now. So I don't have anything. Guess I'm gonna close this. All right, so I do have I have this open. Okay, so that's what we're gonna need right now. And let's see. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and follow my instructions real quick. So I guess for step number one, let's see. First, I'll go over adding fonts. So again, the first thing you're gonna do is go to Google Fonts, and you're gonna end up being here, as I explained before. So just go ahead and choose. You have different ways to kind of looking through this. So I guess you can go ahead and search. I guess you can type different things. It's kind of like Google. So go ahead and search maybe. I don't know how you want to search, but I guess the easiest way is to go by categories. And you can mess around with these to just kind of tell, okay, what kind of font you're looking for. So maybe if you're looking at the header, you want something that looks pretty thick, then maybe click on this and it'll show you options for only very thick fonts. And then you can go ahead and experiment here, and you can just type something. If you want something like a little bit more, I don't know, lighter, the font is lighter, you can just move this around. And I guess you can go ahead and experiment with this too, although I'm not sure. So that's up to you guys. It's been a while since I've done this, but I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. So I would just experiment with this. But I mean, once you do that, then, well, before you make up your mind and choose a font, then maybe you want to test something. So I don't know what, let's see, we have a line over here, analyzing data efficiently. I don't know, maybe use that. And test it. And you can see, okay, which one looks better. And I guess you can also change the font, which on the app.css file, you can go ahead and then just kind of call the property inside whatever selector you're going to be using. You're going to be calling font size and then set the font size to how many pixels you want. So you can see right here, okay, if I want to do 20 pixels for something, then I don't know what looks great. Maybe I like Lotto. So click on Lotto, and we can see that we have different sizes and fonts. Again, you can keep experimenting here. But if you want to download this one, then these are the styles that you'll be able to use. So, and I'll go more into detail once I move. I kind of move forward away from this. So once I'm done explaining all this, so let's say, okay, I like the styles. Maybe I'll try this one. I'm pretty confident. I like this one. So, okay, you click here, download family, and then it's gonna download right here. I already downloaded a few of them, and you can see my examples that I'm gonna go over here on Visual Studio. What I did is I downloaded the file, and then I opened it. That's step number 2. And you can see right here that this is my type font that I'm going to go ahead and implement. So I ignore anything that's not the type font. You can see, you look at this, icon that stands for, if you see this icon, then that means that's the type font that you want. So you want to extract that. Sometimes the extension might be different from .ttf. Sometimes it might be something different, but if you see this icon, that means that's the type font. So you want to download that. So don't worry about anything else. Sometimes you have extra files. I think like this one. This one has a little bit more files, static. You can see right here. And well, I guess static has more files. You might want to check over that. So you might want to include these as well. So, but yeah, if you do so, then go ahead and extract them. But whatever you do, once you select, okay, this is the one I want to extract, then you go ahead and you extract it from, let's see. Okay. I'm going to start from Common Hunter. So once you extract it, you can extract it anywhere else. I first extracted it from my desktop, but you can just do it directly. So yeah, just if you extract it separately, maybe on the desktop, then just make sure that you move it into client. And then let's see, client, source. You can see I already created a fonts folder. And then right here, when I downloaded, like, let's say Oswald, well, obviously, if I download Lotto, the one that I was looking at right here, then it would be ideal to just call the folder Lotto. So call Lotto over here, just create a folder. Okay, whatever, I'm not gonna do it, but I'm just giving you an example of when I did it for Oswald. I created a folder named Oswald, and then I extracted, well, I just moved the font that I extracted and I moved it into this folder. And you're gonna do the same thing for the rest, for all your, like, the fonts that you want to download. Okay, so do that. And yeah, once you finish doing that, you'll be able to, the next step is that you'll be able to see it. Let's see, right here. So under components, client, source, components, well, not components, sorry. You'll see it under fonts. You'll be seeing your folder right here, and then right here you'll see your font. So the next step you want to do is to make sure that that font gets imported. So let's see. I'm reading my in my notes, and on line 4, we already went through the previous lines or previous steps, but right now we're on 4. So guess what? We want to make sure we import it into our files so we can use it. So number 4 says client.source.index. That's where we want to go. So source, client source, and index right here. So you see, I already did it, but this is how you this is pretty much how you import your font. So you just gotta specify the directory where you want, which in this case, if you follow the steps, the previous steps, and you create, like, go into fonts, create your folder, and include in that folder your font, then you want to call it that way. So you go into import fonts, and then yeah, I guess in this case it's Oswald the folder, and then the name of the font that's inside of it. That's how you do it. So it's all whenever you want to import, it has to be directly through index.js, not anywhere else. Step 5, well, you want to define that font so you can use it later on. So what do? On step 5, you go to client source app.css. Sorry. Source styles. All right. So source styles app.css. You can see right here, I have a lot of stuff, but you only have to worry about a few things. But for simplicity, I kind of just created my font faces here. And you can see on step 5, I mentioned how you, like an example, how you create it. So just to kind of like, you know, now that you're watching this, you'll be able to kind of like see how you can just create your own. So you can see right here that you start a selector. Everything is a selector on CSS. So for the font face, to declare a selector for the font face, it has to be at font dash face. And then you have to open it in brackets so you can include the properties. So these are all the properties, as you can see, the font family, the source, and you can see like these are all properties. Anything that's labeled in blue is your property. And then your value is going to be whatever's next to it. So obviously the first thing that you're going to see is fonts family. And you can see right here, I'm saying stick to the name of the folder you name. I mean, for Oswald, for example, that's the name of my font. As you can see here on the left, Oswald. So stick with that. And then right here on the bottom for source, the property source, you're going to call local. And then inside local, the parameter you're going to put is Oswald. Just stick with the same name. And then obviously you're going to set up a comma. And then on the next line, URL. And inside the parentheses or the parameter of a URL, you're going to put, again, the directory. So right here, I have 2 dots. Don't remember, like sometimes if you might have to do 1 dot or 2 dots. Right here, I'm doing two dots because I'm under styles. So if I want to get out of styles, it's 1 dot. And then if I want to move to, let's say, let's see, I'm in styles, that's 1. Okay, so 1 dot means that, okay, I'm still in styles. Another dot means that I get out and go back to source. So now that I'm in source, okay, then dash / and then now I can call fonts, and then Oswald, and so on and so forth. So be careful with these. So, but when you're doing this, when you're like specifying like the directory for your font in this file, yeah, it has to be 2 dots. But again, just follow the examples. It's pretty simple. I already gave you these examples, and just gotta follow the same steps when you find the font that you want. And then next to it, you're going to include format. And inside the format, you're always going to include true type. Nothing changes. The only thing that you're going to be changing when you're going to be adding any parameter you're going to be changing is this one, the directory. And for local, the name of the folder. And for the font family, that's the name you're going to call it. Okay. So that whenever you want to call it somewhere else, like for example, right here in the selector, then the font family is going to be Oswald. That means that's already going to be recognized. So, and that's the next step. I guess that's where I'm describing it. So number 6, that's basically what I'm doing now that I'm jumped into this line of code. So you can see right here, okay, well, we're creating a selector, and that's just for convenience because, okay, well, obviously we have to apply these selectors somewhere, some HTML tag or within one of the HTML tags inside our components. And all these selectors are going to be included inside a class name. So the dot you can see right here, it stands for that you're selecting a class name. If it's an ID, normally it's a $, but for now, you only have to worry that you always got to start your class with a dot, then the name of it. So right here, what I'm doing is that I created a selector called font face OSW, or Oswald, OSW for Oswald short. And then I set up the properties. Well, the font family, which I declared right here on the font face, well, Oswald, okay, it will be recognized now. And then the font weight that I wanted was 800. So 800 stands for, let's say, if you pay attention, go back to, let's see, if you go back to your Google Doc, the type font that you downloaded, you'll see that you have different different weights. So the number means that it stands for the weight. So whenever you use that weight, you should be able to see like this same example. You know, it's pretty thick. So if it was before, I don't know, if the, I guess if the default was, I don't know, something, if the font was light and you said, no, I want it bold, and I set it to 700, it should look exactly like this. So yeah, let's see. I guess I did it for Oswald, I guess. Let me go back. Okay, so yeah, 700. I mean, this is too big, but let's see. 800. Is there any 800? No, I guess not. 700. So I should be able to see it. Let's see. And well, it was smaller, so let's see. Oh, let's set it up to 28. Let's see. So it should look something like this, okay? All right, so if we go back to our, let's see. All right, so this is how my header looks. I'm using the other type, the other font face that I created. I'm using Girasol basically, and that's how it looks. But let's say, okay, I want to use this selector for that header. So where's my header in the first place? And this is where like getting familiar with the components matters, because like let's say you're the, I don't know, like there's a text that, I don't know, maybe it's on, let's see, navigation bar. And well, let's see, in this case, well, the example that I want to go ahead and include or do for this tutorial is that I'm going to change the one for Comment Hunter. So where is this? Well, I know that it's on navigation bar component. So again, that's something that I already know, but again, you guys need to get familiar where like the texts are going to be and which component they're going to be. So yeah, this specific text is inside navigation bar. So I'm going to go to navigation bar, and actually I'm going to go ahead and let's see, where is, oh, here it is. Yeah. So you can see right here. Okay, well, I have font face Girasol. Well, I just Gir for short for Girasol. But let's say I want to change font face to OSW or Oswald, and well, the weight is 700, so it should be like pretty low. Like the font weight should be like pretty bold. So save it. And you can see right here the change. Does it look exactly like it? Let's see. Oh, let's change this. So Comment Hunter, so you can see the change. And yeah, I mean the weight looks pretty similar. So that's where the weight comes in. So use the weight according to the example that you want. So you want something lighter. Let's say, you know, that's too, you know, that's pretty thick. So I want to use 400. Well, change it to 400. Oops. Yeah, you just got to save every time you make a change. So when you do, you know, let me see. Let me go back to how the way it was. Okay, so it's pretty thick. Now I revert and save. So you can see right here that it is following, you know, the same format. So this is how you'll be able to tell, like, be able to use these fonts accordingly. So pay attention to these, the weights, and yeah, depending on what you want, then go ahead and just set the property to font weight and declare it to however you liked it on over here on the right while you were looking at your Google font. So yeah, that's that for that step. That's something to keep in mind. Then the next step, I guess for number 7, I guess, yeah, we're in number 7. Okay, include your selector inside an HTML tag you want to add your font. Okay. So, okay, so for number 7, what I was saying is that, let's see. So before, when I declared my variable, or I mean my selector, my CSS selector, it was originally like this. You know, so you can see it went back to its default, yeah, its default font. But let's say, okay, well, right here, Comment Hunter, you know, I just don't want it to be this, you know, I want the class name to also include my other selector. So in this case, I wanted to also include font face OSW. So all you have to do is that you just got to make sure that when you create that, just make a space, you know, you just redo it again. So just create a space. So it's like this, create a space, and then, you know, write it down or copy paste it, whatever. And yeah, and that's how it will recognize it. So the class name, it can take 2 selectors at a time. Just has to be separated by a space. If it does not, if the tag, which all of these are tags, like div, h1, like h2, p, so on and so forth, like any of those tags, if it includes the text that you want, and if it does not have a class name, then just write the class name. Just start it out, class name equals, then quotes, and under those quotes, the name of the selector that you want. So, and yeah, that's what I mean by number 7. Okay. So on number 8, and I did include the same example, which already went through it. And number 8, I'm saying that if you think you're going to apply a similar format to, let's say I want to apply a similar format to all P's. These are all have like the tag of P, which stands for a paragraph. That's how I know it's going to be a paragraph. So I want to change this to all, I don't know, change the font family to all the P's. Oh, where are the P's? Well, you don't have to look at them individually. There's a bunch of P's somewhere like within all these components, but to make it easier, I can just go ahead and what I mentioned right there is also on bold, is that sometimes, you know, you might have already like a selector already in place. So right here I have P, where, okay, like if I were to declare P over here, and I wrote, okay, well, include my font family, let's see, Oswald. Let's see what happens, actually. Okay, it kind of went through, but sometimes this creates issues. So I would say, I think what I'm going to do in this case, well, I'm going to do it right now. But I'm going to create a selector for each one separately because it might cause issues. And sometimes it's kind of like a local variable versus global. So sometimes global beats local, or no, I think local beats global. So you want to avoid those issues because sometimes, you know, if everything's global and you want to, I don't know, change the property only of this paragraph, then global is gonna like, you know, it's gonna take over the properties that you set up with it. So it's not gonna work. I think I'm kind of rambling here, but honestly, this is the best way to do it. Like, so don't set things like, if you're gonna set things to global, don't set them like close to each other. So they'll do like, okay, I want to select H1 and H2 tags all together. They're all going to have like the same color and they're going to be text aligned center, all of them. So might as well just shorten it. We don't want to create one selector for each one of them individually, but sometimes creating them individually is better because you avoid the local versus global property of coding overall, and it still applies in CSS. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do it for white. Okay, color white, and then text align center. All right, and I'm gonna copy this. Let me get rid of this one. Okay. Now let's see. Okay, well, it was H2 and P. All right. So now, again, going back, I only want to change the font family of P to Oswald. And well, let's see. I want the font size to be 24 pixels. Okay, so you can see right here, it applied, okay, Oswald to all of them. And it didn't also apply to H2 or H1. So you want, again, I'm going to push this anyways, but if you see something like this, that there's certain selectors, certain tags like selected at the same time, and they're being, and all of them have the same property, just be careful that you don't like overwrite them. Like, again, because some of these are written in global, are set to global. And when you try to change something locally, then sometimes, global might like take over and might avoid you from making any changes. But for the purpose of this, for what you guys have to do, you don't have to worry about it too much. So again, 24 looks too big. So let's see. All right. But again, that's pretty much it. You get the idea. So yeah. So the font size, font family. I don't know why it changed like that. Okay. But yeah, font family, Oswald, font size, 18 pixels. You can go ahead and experiment with the font size as much as you want, and yeah, that just keep using this, experiment, and try to see how it's gonna look over here. Obviously, okay, right now, because it was shorter, I mean, it wasn't too wide, then it looks better. But since we have it like the full screen right now, then you might want this to look a little bit bigger. So you want to set the font size a little bit higher. So let's see. I don't know, 28. Okay, well, you get the idea, but that's what you want to do. So experiment with the font sizes, and you can also do it in your developer tools. So Control Shift J, click on this thing. Select an element in the page to inspect it, and I want to inspect this. And well, so I don't have to do this whole change something and save. So it, reloads and displays the changes. You can also experiment here. So right here, I can see my P selector. Well, my font size. Well, I don't want it to be 28. Let's see. Okay, so let's see how it looks on. Yeah, so that's something that you have to kind of experiment with. So experiment with the font sizes and see how it looks. Okay. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for all of adding fonts. So the next step would be like moving on into, I guess, adding an image. So, okay, let's go over step one. So what I mentioned in step one is the only components you're going to be working on are going to be components. You're going to go to components, and it's just going to be grid.js. It's going to be section 1.js and section 2. That's it. You're not going to worry about anything else when adding your images. But when you do add your images, when you find, I don't know, you Google an image you like, you downloaded it, okay, well, make sure you save those under client.source.images. So, and you can see right here, let's see, fonts. These are all the images that I had in mind, but I think we can come up with better ones. I mean, this is the one, this is mine for my photo that I'm going to include, in my slider, in the slider. But yeah, right here, I'm gonna be having all of you. I'm gonna save the images from all of you here. And well, one of the steps that I'm gonna do is that originally this image wasn't square sized, so I use that's why I have this open, because these had different dimensions. So what I did is create a new file, and once you find your image, but I'm just giving you an example with what I'm doing for the slider, where I'm going to have the pictures from all of you. So what I did, and you can apply for your case, is that, okay, well, for mine, I know that the dimension is going to be 200 times 200 or something similar. So I just want it to be squared. And for your images, you might want to make sure that they kind of have the same dimensions. So for just this example, it was 200 for 200. So I did create, and it created, and then it just created something like this originally. So what I did is that, okay, well, I had my image, I don't know, somewhere on my desktop, or I had it here. So I kind of clicked here and then drag it. I click and hold, left click and hold, and then I dragged it all the way here. And that's how you'll be able to move your image. Then I guess you can, it should be already selected once you move it. So you should be able to kind of like move it, drag it into it, and you just gonna want to center your image so it looks proportional to like how you want it to look based on the dimensions that you created. So in this case, I just had to make sure that while I was dragging it, I kind of made it to center. And then once that was done, then I just did I guess I did export. Let's see. I guess set for the web should be fine. There's different ways of doing it. But once I'm done, let's say, okay, well, sometimes I guess the only thing you have to make sure is that this is set to maximum, and you have this as JPEG or whatever. I would say go to JPEG just to be safe. And then once you're done, you're gonna hit save, and then just choose the directory where you want. In this case, you want to select source, client source images, and you're gonna save them there. You save them somewhere else and just move it, and that's it. I'm just gonna hit cancel right here because it's already did it. So yeah, I mean, you would do the same thing. Let's say I want a different image. I don't know. Let's say I want to work on this, and I know I'm going to have dimensions of, I don't know, 500 to 800 or something like that, or 900. So I want to create something like, let's see, width 900. And over here, height 500. Okay. So now I created my canvas. So again, you're gonna do the whole thing, the drag. Let's say, for example, let's see, I'll give you an example. I want to Oh God. This is the one I want to use. So I'm going to drag it. So this is kind of big, but maybe you want something like, you know, let's say the canvas was shorter. I don't know, from the here to here. Just imagine a imaginary line. Well, I don't know, or right here. So I want to make sure that I kind of center it, and okay, hit click. And imagine this wasn't there. This white part or white space wasn't there. Let's say this was your original dimensions. Then you want to make sure that like your other images, let's say, let's see. Let's say these are going to be the same dimensions. Well, you want to make sure that the two images you're going to click here have the same dimensions. So you want to have a similar canvas. And when you do the, you know, moving into Photoshop, you want to make sure that they follow the same, you know, the same like dimensions. So sometimes, you know, I don't know, like an image might be too high of their dimensions might be very high. So sometimes you're gonna have to kind of, you know, move things around so until they're centered and so on and so forth. Um, some of the spots will be left out. I don't know. In this case, let's say this left portion I want it to be left out. You know, you just want to, like, if you have to leave things left out, I don't recommend you to resize it, because once you kind of like, you know, let's try again. Right here, I don't want you to do this because it's gonna lose resolution. So if it's like this, I don't know, this high, then I don't know, just go ahead and well, just try to position it in a way so, you know, it kind of looks centered, or, you know, in proportion to your canvas. But yeah, if you do this, the resize, it's gonna get pixelated, so don't do that. Just stick to one the same dimension, and if it's too large, well, just kind of like try to center it so it looks nice. So yeah, that's the only thing you want to do with Photoshop. Once you do, then you save it, and then save it into, you know, client source images. And then once you're fine with your images, you're good, you feel like, okay, these are good, okay, now you want to import them. So how do you import them? Well, here's an example. On section 2, I have, okay, well, import icon. You're always going to start with import, and then you're going to name it whatever you want. So in this case, well, I guess I was just importing an icon, just for like a short name, whatever. And then you're going to say the next line is going to be from, then the next line is going to be the directory where it's included. So again, we're in components, so it's going to be dot dot. So you can get it out of the components. So first dot, you're still in components, dot, you get out of the components, you go back to source. Now you can call the directory images and then call the image that you want. So once you do that, once it's imported, then the next step would be, okay, well, the next step I kind of mentioned, okay, well, it just depends which one you're going to be working on. So right now we have section 2. It's going to be the same for section 1. Well, the only thing you have to worry about is that, okay, the only thing I have to change is that when I import my image, let's say I import, I don't know, the one that we had, the shooter, the hunter. So say hunter, I don't know, that's the name that I want from, okay, dot dot images. And let's say the name of it was hunter dot JPEG, okay, and close it. Well, now what I want to do is that, okay, well, the only thing I have to do is right here, this tag where it has image, well, the class name, don't worry about the class name, but on the source, you want to change that to hunter. and then it will render. Right now it's not going to work because I mean, I haven't included it or anything, but that's just an example what you're going to be doing. Okay. So, and that's it. That's all you're going to be doing for section 1 and 2 when changing those images. And section 1 and 2 stand for, let's see, these two. So these two are the images that you want. And for these, when you want to change these images or these grids, let's see. So the only thing the only thing that's going to be different is that for grid, that's where the other ones are, is that, okay, you're going to import it the same way, but when you want to add an image, well, you have to declare or include that image here first. So what you want to do, let's say I had Hunter, again, import Hunter, and then blah, 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 blah. And the rest you already know. But let's say I had a Hunter. Well, I already imported it. Now I can call it here. And for this one, you might want to do you guys are going to be doing 3 images. So you're going to have 3 imports, new imports here with different names. And well, each one of them is going to be, okay, they're all labeled into different IDs. So one's going to be labeled ID 1, the other one's going to be labeled 2, the other one's going to be labeled 3. Okay. So the first one might be called like Hunter. The next one might be, I don't know, like what else? Like Bounty. I don't know. Then over here it's gonna be, you know, like Scraper. Bounty. Okay. So I'm using an array. I use an array, so I use the map method. So I don't have to write too many lines. So that's why we have this. So that's why when you want to add an image here, you want to make sure that, okay, you import the images that you want and you declare them here. So it's all respective. So 1, 2, and 3, the way it's set up is that right here in the website, this is ID 1, this is ID 2, and this is ID 3. So that's just something that you want to keep in mind. So yeah, just make sure that you add your images accordingly towards their respective position. And well, the only thing that you're going to change after that, well, I guess you don't have to change anything. You don't have to change any of this because right here, what's happening is I'm calling props, which is this is the props, and then or that's sending this, and then well, this is basically the props. The props is columns or calls, and what I'm going to be calling every time that map iterates is that, well, the image source is going to be, okay, image. It's going to be this image. So yeah, that's all you have to do. You only have to worry about the image property again, and image property again. I mean, right here you can see it's an array. It's 3 objects inside an array. So these are the keys and these are the values. So yeah, for every image key, you're gonna set up like the value according to whatever imported image you imported. So let me go ahead and return everything how it was. Okay. And yeah, that's all you have to do. And I guess for the last step, let's see. Oh yeah, the last step is once you finish setting up your images, then the only thing I want you to keep in mind to experiment is using the property name Flexbox. That's a CS property that lets you, let me show you a demonstration. So all of these, I mean, this is the grid component for all these 3 images. And then this is section 1 for this image in this paragraph, and section 2 for this image in this paragraph. So what you want to do is that what Flexbox is doing is that whenever you kind of expand or you want to move things around, you want to set the width of the browser window like shorter, then this will move accordingly. So you want to, you don't have to pay attention to that when it's shorter. I just want you to keep in mind when it's like in full screen. But when it's in full screen, I think what you want to mess around with, it's only these. I think these are the only ones I want you to worry about for now. So yeah, the only thing you're going to be doing, let's say you don't, you know, this is kind of like out of proportion, you know, let's make this, let's change the way this looks. Maybe make this look a little bit more narrow. So guess what we do? Well, in this, we go back to app.css. There is, there was a selector that I created, and it's for, let's see, I guess right here I named it, okay, it's called TextSec. So let me go back what that means. So TextSec is just a class name that I created for the text section or the paragraph section. That's just like next to the image for the section. So for TextSec, well, I mean, this whole section is Flexbox. So again, so that it becomes responsive. So when I make the window less wider, then it'll be kind of like arrange things like accordingly. You know, that's what Flexbox is. So let's say, okay, well, the way that, you know, the paragraph section is positioned or text section is positioned, well, I don't like it. So what can you do? Well, you can see that TextSec is using the flex property, as you can see right over, and I'm gonna do Control F to find, and let's see TextSec. And I do this because there's a lot of selectors, but you know, TextSec, you can see flex grow, and this is the only thing that I want you to pay attention, because this is changing how much space you know, that section is going to have that is using Flexbox. So flex grow, so you can, you know, change, you know, how wide things are going to be or not. So yeah, originally the Flexbox, the flex grow is set to 1 for section, but for TextSec or text image, they're set differently. So for only this one, we're only concerned of the paragraph. So what I'm saying is that what I'm trying to, the point I want to bring overall is that right here, if you go back to our website, is that your image might be a little bit wider, so it might kind of take more space to the left. Well, what you want to do is that, let's say it takes more space, doesn't look good, or maybe it's too narrow and the paragraph takes more space. Well, what can you do? Well, let's see. If you change the Flexbox, and I'm going to do it from the Velvet consoles. So I'm going to click over here. Okay. And right here under styles, I'm going to go ahead and find the, I don't know, what was it? TextSec. No, I guess you got to be careful. So you don't want to click here. You want to click the whole div, so the whole container. So that's the div. So you can see, okay, you can see right here on the left, right here it's P. Right here, over here, well, I can't point, but you can see that P on the left. So when I go up, you can see I'm selecting H2, and then over here, I go a little bit up, a little bit more higher, and it's going to select the whole thing. So now I have, you can see div item dot TextSec. Click it, and now I should be able to see TextSec. So flex grow. What if I change flex grow higher? See what happens. So it becomes either more narrow, or more wider. Honestly, you don't want to set it to 0, but you know, you get my point. Use flex grow on this selector and experiment like depending how your how wide or how your image looks, like be careful how it's going to look. So essentially for section, you want to make sure that you know, even if it's not perfect, just try to see which font size works. So maybe you want to make sure that let's see, you're going to use Flex Grow to kind of change, you know, the width of the paragraph section, you know. But let's, okay, so we're in flow mode. Maybe you want to change the font size to kind of cover all, like all the way down over here to how the image is. That's why the dimensions of the image is important, because like if you select like I don't know, ideal dimensions that might cover, you know, like the whole paragraph content, then you know, it's gonna look way nicer. It's gonna look a little bit more proportional. So you want to make sure, maybe I just want the image to be from this point to, I don't know, right here. Right here. I don't know, just imagine a line right here that I'm drawing, so that it's proportional to where the paragraph ends. So that's why it's important that you mess with the dimensions of or your images that you want, because like we want it to look nice. Right here we have this extra space, and how do we fix it? Well, we can use Flex Grow, but the problem is that, let's see, again, I'm going to go ahead and use my selector. And the problem is that even if I try to make it wider, you know, it looks like it's kind of more proportional now. Like it's kind of like, you know, it's each line right here, you know, over here it's kind of off. But again, you get my point. Like the dimensions of the image that you download it's going to be very important, so you avoid this problem, because right here it doesn't look balanced. So try to avoid that, mess with all those things, and do your best. But yeah, I think the most important is that you find something that's going to look cool. So even if you can't figure it out to make it look nice, that's fine. But in the meantime, this is the only thing that I want you to do. So do your best to make sure that this all looks good, and try to see if you can make it like look pretty nice, like next to each other. And that's pretty much it. I mean, these images were just an example. Obviously, the dimensions are horrible next to these texts. But I mean, again, that's something you can fix. So do those steps that I told you to do, and you should be able to kind of get this looking good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than that, I mean, I would say if you still have questions, then let me know. But before you ask me any questions, go ahead and rewatch this video, and also follow. Yeah, just rewatch the video if you have to. This might be long, but don't worry about it. At the very least, once you watch this video, then just focus on the steps, and you should be fine. It should be pretty clear for you. So, but again, if you still have questions after the video and the document that I set up for you, then okay, go ahead and just go ahead and DM me over Discord, and yeah, I'll go ahead and try to answer your questions. Okay. All right. So hopefully that explains everything for you guys. I'm sorry if this kind of took a little bit. This explanation took a little bit longer than I expected, but again, I mean, if you don't want to read, it'll be easier to kind of like understand. So hopefully everything, you know, my explanations were pretty decent for you to understand what to do. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop, and yeah, you should be like after this, you should be able to do what you're like everything that I explained before. Okay. So yeah, logging out, and yeah, thanks for watching.